Hey everybody, just wanted to get on here on the old webcam and talk about Tim Tebow, as he seems to be one of the hottest topics in the news right now, just in the world at large, especially in the sports world. Everywhere you turn, people are talking about Tim Tebow, uh, always trending on Twitter. See him every Sunday, people talking about him on Facebook. There's news stories about him. I listen to NPR all the time. NPR has done stories on him. And I just wanted to offer some perspective. I'm not a huge sports fan, but mainly just some perspective just from what I see going on in the world of popular culture and in the world of Christendom. Um, First of all, I want to address this from a few different angles. First of all, for all the haters of Tim Tebow, I do think that a lot of the hatred that's spewed out towards him is uncalled for. Um, I don't think he's done anything to warrant, by any means, um, the kind of venom that many people have poured out. Um, At the same time, that's somewhat to be expected, I think, um, in the world of sports and in the world of celebrity. Um, a lot of times, those worlds are fueled by haterade. Um, you know, a lot of people just have a diet of haterade um, and drink it on a regular basis. And it could be about anything. It doesn't really matter so much what it's for. That's just the way that the world works, unfortunately. And anytime someone achieves success, there's going to be haters that come around for that purpose. So moving on from that, as far as the Tebow mania, the craze that goes on around him, um, for one thing, as far as I know, and I haven't read a whole lot, or certainly haven't met the guy or know the guy, but everyone who knows him has nothing but good things to say about him. And I think that's a testament to his character. Um, and as far as anybody can tell, he's a great guy, certainly deserving of the success that he's achieved. And I can definitely see why people have gotten behind him. I've noticed Christians, especially, getting behind him, which again I think is to be expected. This is a guy who is very openly and actively Christian. Of course, anyone who's observed any of his games or any of the stories about him are well aware of this. He brings um, his life is centered around Christ and the message of Christianity, and he brings that with him um, into the games, into his media appearances, anywhere he goes. So of course Christians are going to get behind him. I think if he was Muslim, then the Muslim world would be getting behind him in the same way. I think if he was, let's say, homosexual, the lesbian and gay community would be getting behind him in the same way. Doesn't really matter. That's just the natural course of things. Is that when someone who represents a certain community achieves success and seems to be representing that community very well, the people of that community are going to get behind that person. And in the sports world, it's a world driven by fanaticism, and it's just going to be amplified in that world all the more, especially here in the United States. Um, I did want to offer a word of caution, though. I think one thing that concerns me as a Christian with the Tim Tebow phenomenon is the idea that is sometimes communicated explicitly, sometimes it's more implied, and sometimes it's not even intended to be communicated, but maybe misperceived in this way. Depending on who you're talking to, it can be one of any of those three things. Um, that because the reason that Tim Tebow has been so successful is because God's favor is on him. And what that means is because he gives glory to God, because he gives credit to God and lives his Christian life so openly. um, God is actually intervening in football games to help him win and help the Broncos win so that God will get even more glory out of their success. And whether it's intentional, communicated explicitly or implied, or even a lot of times that may be not what people are intending to communicate, but it's perceived that way. And a recent Saturday Night Live sketch kind of really hits on kind of a parody of that idea being communicated through the media. Um, I think that's really bad for, let's say, PR when it comes to Christianity. I don't think that that represents Christ very well, and I don't think it represents the gospel very well. Um, that's going to be something that's hard for many Christians, including myself, and especially for non-Christians to digest. There's just too much horrendous stuff going on in the world, and when people say that or imply that God is actually intervening in these football games, um, the inevitable question is, well, if God is so willing to intervene in human affairs to manipulate the outcome of a game, um, how is it that people are starving, people are getting killed, raped, um, every day people suffer injustice, there's rampant poverty. Um, if God can, if God can and is willing to interfere, so to speak, in a football game, certainly he should be able to do more about the suffering in the world. And I definitely agree with that sentiment. I don't think that God is has any role in deciding the outcome or the trajectory of football games. So, and a lot of times that's not what people are intending to communicate. I do realize that sometimes people are just saying that because of Tim Tebow's faith, he has an optimism and a determination and a grit that just drives him forward and motivates his team and motivates him. And that's a big part of the reason why he has achieved the success he has this season. And I have no problem with that statement. But it's when people actually think that God is directly behind the Broncos' success that that idea becomes hard to digest. So just wanted to offer that perspective, and hopefully that gives a little bit of caution to people in the way that they communicate what they think is going on with the Tim Tebow phenomenon. Um, and just one other concern I have too is that if, and God forbid, if Tim Tebow were to get injured somehow, or even to get into a funk of some sort, let's say next season, um, then what would that say about God at that point? Would people speculate like, okay, maybe Tim Tebow has done something to not have God's favor anymore, or did Satan just kind of get a one up on God suddenly? That would cause some questions that would be hard to answer for a lot of people that think that God is actually involved in these games. So, again, just throwing that out there. Thanks for listening.